I was born in a small town where everyone knew everyone. Life was simple, but it wasn't easy. My father worked as a bus driver, leaving home before sunrise and coming back late at night. My mother stitched clothes for the neighborhood women to earn a little extra money. As a child, I didn't understand much about money or struggle. All I knew was that my parents worked hard. We lived in a small two-room house, and most days we had just enough to eat. But my parents never let me feel like we were poor. One evening, when I was around 10 years old, I found my mother sitting quietly with tears in her eyes. She was holding a school fee notice in her hand. "Maybe we can skip a few months," she whispered to my father. But he shook his head firmly and said, "No, our son will study. He will have a better life than us." That night, I heard them talking about selling my father's old wristwatch, the only valuable thing he owned, just to pay for my school. I cried silently, promising myself that one day I would make all their sacrifices worth it. From that day, I became serious about my studies. While other kids played cricket in the streets, I spent hours reading books. I didn't have a table or chair, so I sat on the floor with my notebooks spread around me. Sometimes the power would go out, and I would study by candlelight. Things got worse when my father fell sick. He had been working double shifts for months, and it finally caught up to him. The doctor said he needed rest, but we couldn't afford for him to stop working. My mother took on extra stitching orders, staying up late every night to finish them. I wanted to help, so I started tutoring younger kids in the neighborhood. It wasn't much, but it paid for my books and gave me a sense of responsibility. Years passed, and I completed high school with top marks. I got admission into a good university on a partial scholarship, but the remaining fees were still too much. I almost gave up, thinking I should just find a job, but my parents insisted I go. "We'll manage somehow," my mother said. "Your education is our biggest dream." University life was hard. I lived in a tiny hostel room and ate the cheapest food I could find. I worked part-time at a library and sent whatever little money I saved back home. There were days when I cried alone, feeling like it was all too much. But then I remembered my father's words, "You will have a better life than us." Finally, after 4 years of sleepless nights, endless exams, and part-time jobs, I graduated. On the day of my convocation, I looked into the audience and saw my parents sitting in the front row, smiling with pride. My father's eyes were wet, and my mother couldn't stop clapping. Soon after graduation, I got my first job, a decent one that paid well. The first salary I received, I didn't buy anything for myself. Instead, bought my parents new clothes and a big dining table so we could all sit together and eat comfortably for the first time. But that was just the beginning. I kept working hard, saving money, and 2 years later, I surprised my parents with something they never imagined: a new house. A house with enough rooms, bright windows, and a small garden for my mother to grow her favorite flowers. When I handed them the keys, my father just stared at me in silence. Then he hugged me and whispered, "You kept our dream alive." As we moved into the new house, I realized something very important. Success isn't just about earning money or having a good job. It's about giving back to the people who never stopped believing in you, even when life was hard. Today, every time I sit with my parents in that house, drinking tea and laughing together, I feel proud, because I didn't just change my life, I changed theirs too. And that, to me, is the true meaning of success.